Hi everyone, in this video we're using TCM Weaver software to compare 4 different herbal formulas, and we're looking at the ingredients and the overlaps and the different treatment principles. We had a question come up in Damn Good Doctors Club where one of the practitioners is using a Buyang Huan Tang variant with a patient with Raynaud's and asking about Dangui Sinitong. So I figured I'd pull all these up, and I've added not only Dangui Sinitong and Buyang Huan Tang, but I've also added Botanical Biohacking's Neurogene and Classical Pearl's Evergreen Pearls into the mix here. So this way we can look at the traditional formulas and also some of these modern variants, and maybe you can find something that's going to fit your patient and suit your needs. So first of all, we can see that Dangui is in all 4 of these formulas, and Xiaoyao in some form, either Chur Xiao or Bai Xiao, is in all 4 of these formulas. So these are the 2 common herbs amongst all 4. Now from there, we can look at Buyang Huan Tang, and we can see what's going on here is we have Chuansheng, Taoren, they're blood moving, Honghua is blood moving. We've got the Dilong, which is also strongly blood moving and clearing phlegm. And then we have Huangqi to help guide the herbs up to the head and also to boost the qi in order to help the blood. And then we have our 2 Dangui and Xiaoyao, our little power pair here that's in the center of this mix. So remember, Buyang Huan Tang is essentially for post-stroke patients where we've had some kind of issue where there's loss of blood flow to a different part of the brain. So we're trying to restore that blood flow. And of course, you're using this after the risk of bleeding is over. So that's the kind of classical traditional use for this. However, we do have some things in modern times that we can use this for that are a little bit off label, but it still works well nonetheless. And then if we look at Dangui Sinitong, we've got Xiaoyao and Dangui, of course. And then we also have a different direction. We've got Gansao, Datsao, Guizhi, Xixin, and Mutong. And what we can see is this clearing of this trapped cold, right? The Xixin is there to get this cold out, and the Mutong is there to unblock. So we're looking at some aggressive moving in terms of the blockage of what's stopping the blood from flowing. And at the same time, like the Guizhi is similar to the Xixin. The Guizhi is going to be opening up some of the channels and collaterals with a warming action. So again, we're looking at getting some of this trapped cold out. And then we also have these harmonizing middle jiao type herbs like Gansao and Datsao, technically qi tonics, but they're most likely there to help the digestive system handle some of these maybe more harsh herbs like Mutong and Xixin. So I'm going to get into the Mutong and Xixin in just a second here. But what we want to see, just comparing these two, Dangui Sinitong and Buyang Huanwu, is we can see this has a stronger blood moving type effect and this phlegm scouring, and there's not so much in here to clear trapped cold from the channels and collaterals. Dangui Sinitong is going to have more of this built-in cold maneuvering to help unblock. So this is one of the differences with the mechanisms, and Dangui Sinitong can be used for cold extremities, but also we do look at the head as the 5th extremity. So you can use Dangui Sinitong to get more blood flow into the head, into the brain. Same thing with Buyang Huanwu. It's got the Huangqi to help guide things up into that area as well. So very similar formulas. It's just a matter of how much blood stasis is involved versus how much cold, trapped cold, is involved. That would be one way to differentiate these 2 formulas. So if we look at something like Botanical Biohacking's Neurogene, which is loosely based on Buyang Huanwu, right? That's the inspirational formula. But we can see some differences. The Neurogene doesn't have Dilong in it, and the Neurogene also has added Dahuang, Lianqiao, Jinyinhua, right? These are cold herbs. So now we're looking at a formula that not only clears out the blood stasis the same way Buyang Huanwu does, it has slightly less strong phlegm scouring with the Dilong, and then we add in colder herbs to help clear heat, latent heat. So one of the ideas here is that within phlegm there's fire, so the body can build up phlegm and biofilms and things like that to actually trap the heat that's there from inflammatory processes or pathogens or just general damage or whatever it is. And so if we start moving things around with this type of formula, then we have built-in Dahuang, Lianqiao, and Jinyinhua to help clear out some of that inflammation essentially from the central nervous system, the lung, possibly even the large intestine could be. You could rope that in terms of an elimination pathway because we have the Dahuang. And then we've also got Tianma and Gotong, which we're using here again for more of the neuroregenerative properties. So the Neurogene itself is based on a martial arts formula that helps to treat concussions and head injuries. So you've got kind of similar effects as somebody post-stroke where there's been an issue in the brain and damage in the brain. And that's why the Neurogene is based on Buyang Huanwu, but it's also got these heat-clearing herbs to help relieve some of that inflammatory process. And then the Tianma and the Gotong for neuroregeneration, essentially. So now we'll look at Evergreen Pearls, which is credited on the Classical Pearls website as being inspired by not only Buyang Huanwu, but also Dangui Sinitang that's listed in the formula architecture. And it's not containing entirely both of these formulas, but it has ideas from these formulas. So for example, the Buyang Huanwu, Chuanshang, Taoren, Honghua, none of these are in Evergreen Pearls. But we do have Huangqi, Dangui, and Xiaoyao in common, and we also kept the D-long, it looks like, from the Buyang Huanwu idea. So that's interesting because it's not going to be so strong at moving blood the same way Buyang Huanwu is. So then if we look at the Dangui Sinitang, we can see the Mu Tong and the Xixin have not been included in Evergreen Pearls. My guess there would be due to sometimes there's toxicity concerns with the Xixin if it's not harvested or prepared properly. Same thing with the Mu Tong. These may be herbs that can be difficult to source, or there's going to be issues with the FDA sometimes. So my guess here, and it's totally a guess, is that they've been omitted basically just because of logistical concerns from Evergreen Pearls, not because they wouldn't fit in the formula. So when we start looking at this, we can see these four formulas, and I've already compared the Buyang Huanwu with the Dangui Sinitang. Essentially, you've got more blood stasis clearing with the Buyang Huanwu, and you've got more cold obstruction that we're dealing with Dangui Sinitang, but both are the same kinds of ideas as getting more blood flow to the extremities and the head included. And then we also have the Neurogene. If you're going to compare Neurogene to Buyang Huanwu, very, very similar, with the exception that we've lost the D-long and we've added these heat clearing herbs and some of these Gotong, Tianma kind of neuroregenerative herbs. And then if we look at Evergreen Pearls and compare that with Buyang Huanwu, we have only really a little bit of the Buyang Huanwu. It's just a gesture that's been included, really. We've got the Xiaoyao Dangui, Huangqi, and the D-long. It's just kind of roughly the idea of bringing things to the head as well and using the Huangqi to activate the qi of the blood and the D-long to help scour phlegm and help to clear up some damage in the central nervous system. And then we have now the addition of the Dangui Sinitang idea of the Guizhi helping to open the collaterals. We've got some of the middle jiao protection there. And we, of course, have the Gotong as well, which is added. It's a commonality between Neurogene and Evergreen Pearls have added Gotong into this mix of neuroregenerative herb formulas. And then we have these Maimendong, Tianmendong, these basically yin tonic type herbs that are meant to help curb the inflammation. And we also have, of course, the Zhishui Tang and Moyao and Yin Xingye. These are meant to get the blood moving, and the Shichangpu is there for neuroregeneration. The Tong Sao is there to help eliminate a little bit of dampness. There may be some other factors with Tong Sao. I'd have to look into that one. But we have now a slight difference between Neurogene and Evergreen Pearls in that Neurogene has this heat clearing built in for the Lian Chao, Jinyan Hua, right? These are meant to express the heat and get it out of the body. And we have a similar function here with Evergreen Pearls, except we're using yin tonics to achieve some of that. And yin tonics work a little bit more like steroids, where they can prevent autoimmune responses and they can curb the immune system. But what that's going to do, just be aware, is that this may be, if you do have heat coming up and you're suppressing it with yin tonics, that's one way to address that. And then expressing it with heat clearing herbs is another way. Now, they both can be difficult for the spleen in large doses or over a long period of time, right? The yin tonics can be cloying, and then these heat clearing herbs can also, just too much cold can affect the digestive system. So those are both concerns that you may have as you differentiate all four of these formulas. So I know it looks like a lot of information, and it is, but we've presented it in a clear way where we can get four different formulas that are interrelated and kind of complex with the relationships, and we can start to see the distinctions and the differentiations. That way you can start to make better decisions for your patients moving forward. All right, cheers.